And I know that Tony D'Amelia, my former colleague up there, was beloved. A hard act to follow, but I'm hearing some very good things about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you've chosen to run for this seat.
Sure, and just to comment on what you had just said, I think a big part of the art of compromise is the social and interpersonal skills that people have when you get together in a room and you work through an issue. And when you don't have that and everything is Zoom and WebEx, you lose that variable in that formula for success. But thanks. Just a little bit about my background. I grown up, spent most of my life in Waterbury, and now live in Middlebury with my wife, Michelle. I had gone to Waterbury State Tech, graduated in computer programming, worked at a company called Bristol Babcock doing process control systems, Cadbury Chocolate, U.S. Steel, things like that. Went on for my Bachelor's of Science in Marketing and my Master's in Organizational Management, and then my doctorate in Adult and Technical Education through the University of Connecticut. I had the opportunity, Gary, over the last 22 years to be the director overseeing the Waterbury Yukon campus and served on multiple boards, such as the Chamber of Commerce. I chaired that a few years ago. We have about 1,000 members. The Waterbury Hospital Board, I still am serving on. Naugatuck Valley Community College, Savings Bank of Danbury, the Workforce Investment Board, but most importantly, spending time as a police and a fire commissioner with the city of Waterbury. You learn what these men and women go through, and I have a soft spot in my heart for them.
Well, how could you not? I mean, they're having a hard time recruiting police officers because, quite frankly, nobody wants to be a police officer right now. They're not respected, and they're not even regarded, sadly.
It's true. And they hold them personally liable, Gary. One of my main issues that I'm trying to do is to confront the state's crime issues and make it so that these officers are not personally liable. If they do a chase and there's an accident, they get dragged into court. I know of an officer who had to tase a combatant person, and they were dragged into court because they were tased. And if they had lost, if the judge had ruled in favor of the combatant, it would have cost that person $250,000. It's not that the police would pay for that. They would be personally liable. So your exposure is so great that how do you incentivize anybody to go into that profession?
You can't. You can't. But what people are learning, especially our listeners are learning, is that you can go up there with all of the the ideals that and convictions that you have, in just like other Republicans. But the truth of the matter is, if you don't have the majority, it's very difficult to get anything accomplished in that House because the moderate Democrats have kind of gone on the wayside. And it just appears to me that I know when I was up there, I would see Democrats receive their marching orders, and sadly, because of the lack of moderates and tenured moderates that would really go to their leadership and challenge them, have kind of gone on the wayside. It just seems it's even worse now, where a lot of the rank and file Democrats in the legislature are just acquiescing to their leadership and following the leaders, and that's the sad part, It's less about working on behalf of their constituents.
I was speaking with my chairman is my dear friend Joe Pisani and my treasurer James Walsh. We're talking about how you shouldn't be afraid to go into your home and have to lock your car while you're taking your groceries in, or be afraid to live in your own home because of the lax laws and especially the juvenile crime. So again, I don't know what committees, if I'm fortunate enough to win, I'd be on, but certainly a goal at some point to really go after that.
As you're campaigning for this special election, Bill, what are the citizens of your district? What are they telling you that's really near and dear to them? What do they want you to fight for them on behalf of?
Gary, clearly the number one issue is crime, juvenile crime more specifically, making less taxes for especially small businesses to be able to operate in this state. There's so many mandates that get placed upon them that it's almost difficult. Even things like Family Medical Leave Act, which I think the intent is well placed. But if you only have 2 or 3 employees and you can give someone 12 weeks off for whatever reason, it's very difficult to maintain your business, and quite often they go out of business because of that. So as you add more and more taxes, even things like that, truck taxes and so forth, as they come through the state, those taxes get passed on to us as consumers. And so you get to a point where people will leave the state. We have very intelligent students. I've seen them at UConn and the other universities. And yet, once they graduate, they find that, hey, when we were kids, we didn't have cable bills and internet bills and all those type of things. and to be able to buy a home, pay for your education, get into a profession, and maybe raise a family, it becomes very, very difficult. So I have to try to make, in my own small way, Connecticut more affordable.